Good morning, it's Meat Chook Day. You can see we got our new freezer for the pigs, which are getting butchered in 2 weeks' time. So now we actually have our brooder outside. We are super excited to get our 50 meat chooks today. It was quite an ordeal to get them down here, as I've said before, and I'll tell you more about that as we get ready. So a few weeks ago, I did end up getting this brooder all set up. I took out the old wood chips and put in some fresh wood chips. We have a feeling that this brooder is not going to be quite big enough for 50 chicks, so we came up with an alternative last night. It was a spur of the moment decision, and I think it's a really good one. Okay, so I know I absolutely loved having the baby chicks inside my house, but they do get quite loud, especially as they get older and more confident. So I'm just not ready to have 50 baby chicks chirping and making noise through the house all day. So at least this way there's still a window that I can see them through, but they're a little bit more private in their own area outside. We live in a smaller town. It's not tiny, but it's definitely smaller than a city. And so that means that we had to get our chickens delivered from Sydney down to here. The trouble is that the furthest they could go was to Bateman's Bay. And that's not ideal for us because Bateman's Bay is a town that's still 2 hours away from us, which is a 4-hour round trip to pick up our chooks. Now, when I placed the order for these chickens, it was actually right through the middle of our lockdowns and COVID, which meant that I couldn't drive further than our own area, which would make it absolutely impossible to get the chicks down to us. So the only way I was going to get these chickens down to me is, one, if we were able to pick them up somehow through a lockdown, which wasn't going to happen, or two, if we were able to organise our very own courier to get them from Bateman's Bay down to our town. So I did heaps of phone calls trying to figure out someone who would take them down to us, and we're so lucky and fortunate that we found a local courier, and super duper excited because he's actually doing us a massive favour by picking them up from Bateman's Bay. Oh, that's another thing. I had to provide them with an address in Bateman's Bay, and we don't know anyone that lives there because, I mean, we're new to town. We don't really have connections that go that far. So I ended up contacting the pet stock at Bateman's Bay and asking them to hold on to our chickens. So they're going to hold on to the baby chicks for us for a few hours before Steve picks them up and then brings them down our way. Through all that ordeal, I was finally able to contact the lady, let her know that we got a courier, that we could get the baby chicks, and so now we are all go for our 50 baby chicks, which, by the way, originally we were only going to get 25 baby chicks at a time so that it was more manageable, but because of the big ordeal of trying to order them, not being able to get them as far as us, it meant that I just didn't want to go through the hassle again, and I ordered all 50 at once, so we are definitely going to be well and over our head. The plan with the baby chicks is to have them on our pasture here. So we're going to do a rotational grazing system so that we're not destroying the grass over the time that they're here. So that means we'll move them from one spot to the other using our Gallagher fencing system. We still have to build a coop for them. That's going to be our project in the next 2 weeks. So that way they can be safe overnight from foxes and predators. And then we'll be moving them down the paddock until they have spent it all, and then it'll be time for butchering. A heat lamp is absolutely necessary with baby chicks to keep them warm. We have waited until springtime on purpose because we've wanted to make sure that it's nice and warm outside. We can keep their brooders outside as well as move them straight out as soon as they get too big for their brooder box. Now, how do I connect this? Now, all of the things that we're using for our baby chicks are just from our local co-op. Being a small town, a lot of these companies don't actually sell their products online or directly to the customer. They only sell it in a wholesale level. Woo, it's on. So you can use normal light globes, but these ones work a lot better. They distribute a lot more heat, and the light isn't so alarming to the chicks. It's a little bit more dull and allows them to sleep. I did end up using a normal light bulb with my chickens back in the suburbs when one of these broke. Thank you, Eris. So you can use a normal light globe, they're just not as effective at distributing heat. So these red ones are really, really good because they are a lot warmer. Like you can literally feel the heat straight away. Having some blocks for your water is going to be super crucial to just keep it elevated, and that reduces the wood chips that go into it. Keeps the area a lot cleaner, and less water on the wood chips means a less damp area and keeps the chickens a lot healthier as well. I ended up getting a power board and plugging everything in. Conveniently, this little cupboard has a drawer, so I can keep that in here. So I can keep those out of the elements, just tucked in there, all nice and safe, because of course, like they are on our balcony and we've got at least a week of rain on the way. Just got the call that our baby chicks are here. We're heading down to the bottom of the road to pick them up from our courier, Steve. Super excited to get them and get them settled in. It's about 7 o'clock now, so they've been on the road for a very long time.
It's dinner time, but they're going to get in here and they're going to get priority on feed first.
Yeah, and then we'll be eating second.
They've gone slow, aren't they?
Yeah, I bet. That's alright.
Every time we hit a bump, there's one particular one keeps...
They'll all be like...
Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully they're all good.
Oh, they'll be fine.
I think they've had a big day.
They have,
So I
yeah.
think they're all having a snooze.
Yeah, we'll give them some water, get them some food, and they'll fall
that's
asleep just as... Alright, you get home before the rain comes. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
You got the dog?
We're about to find out what we've gotten ourselves into.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you can see them moving.
There they are.
Oh my goodness, it's a little!
I don't see any casualties yet, so...
We're about to find out. Wow, they're already big. Like they're long. Yeah. They're much longer than the other chicks were. Oh my god. Oh my god, they're so little. Oh, everyone that I pick up.
16.
My little Luna.
17. 18.
Why do we need to count them? What are you walking on your brothers and sisters for?
37. 39. 42. Cool.
Cool, they're all alive.
That's more than enough room for them at this size. Oh, like that. Food.
So all of our little babies have survived the night. They've actually been a lot more active and alert than I expected them to be. They've been smashing their food down, walking about, making their little groups. They're having a grand old time. We decided to start off with all of them in the one brooder. We're hoping to keep them together as much as we can, but we do have the second brooder there so that if they get a little bit too big, too crowded in here, we'll be able to move half of them over. But so far, so good.